Hello class, today we're going to discuss probably the most important presentation that I will be giving you this entire semester is happening right here, right now. It is what I am going to be looking for in all of your writings, and this is that presentation. So put on your thinking caps and get ready to take some notes. The art of persuasion is writing arguments. Word after a word after a word is power. Do you guys know who Margaret Atwood is? She's a famous author, novelist. She wrote The Handmaid's Tale. You may have seen that television series advertised, but it's based actually on a novel that she wrote. So in this class, all of your writings are going to be argument writings. And argument is not just, it's not like you're yelling at your brother about something or arguing with your significant other about something. When I say argument, I'm talking about a formal structure that has three main parts. It has a claim, it has evidence, and it has analysis. The claim, and I have to tell you, this picture right here is of my dog Bella when she was a puppy. A claim is a general statement. It's a belief, interpretation, or stance that can be supported with specific evidence and examples. It's kind of like an opinion in that it needs proof. Okay? Do not begin a claim with I think or I believe. Let me say that again. Do not begin with I think or I believe. When you do that, when you start a sentence off, when you start a paragraph off with I think that or I believe that, you are immediately distinguishing yourself as a student or as someone who is not necessarily credible to speak on something. So when you're writing your arguments, I want you to pretend that you are an expert, okay? And pretend like whatever this stance is that you actually believe it, whether you do or you don't. You're going to pretend that you do, okay? So even if you are, if I was a cat person, and which I do like cats too, but let's say that I didn't like dogs at all, I could still write this claim. Dogs make the best pets because they are good for human health. Because that's the particular argument that I'm making. I can make an argument without emotionally agreeing with it. Okay? Why? Because I'm making a claim and then I'm following up with evidence that I find. What is evidence? Evidence is expert quotes, statistics, examples, and other data that support or prove the claim. Those quotes that you store in the double entry journal is where you're going to get your evidence from. Okay? And you need to choose the strongest part of the quotes. Let's say you find a quote somewhere and it's 5 sentences long. Your reader is going to get bored and fall asleep and move on to something else. You want to surgically extract the meat or the main part or the mic drop moment. Select the part of the quote that is the strongest, that proves your point. Okay? You are allowed to leave out words if you need to, and if you do that, you use an ellipse, which is the ... Or you can use brackets if you need to change the tense of something in order to make it fit into your sentence so it's grammatically correct. You also need to use MLA formatting to show where you found the evidence. Now, you may or may not have already learned MLA formatting. I will be teaching that next week. But for now, know that after every quote, you have to have an in-text citation, or a parenthetical citation is another way that it is called, and it is usually the author's last name. In this case, it's at the bottom. Let's take a look at this evidence. A 2017 Swedish study of 3.4 million people over 12 years showed that, quote, dog ownership is associated with a lower risk of cardiovascular disease, end quote. And then there's the in-text citation. Okay, that's the evidence. The power of an argument is determined by how well you select that evidence and explain it. And the explaining of the evidence happens on the next page, which happens to show my dog Bella when she was a little bit older. She was not a puppy anymore in that picture. The analysis logically connects the claim to the evidence and explains and elaborates on the link. Okay, the bulk of your writing should be analysis. That's where you show your personality. That's where you show your thinking. Here's an analysis for this dog argument we're making here. Clearly, this Swedish study shows that one step to a healthier heart is dog ownership. People who wish to strengthen their cardiovascular health should consider adopting a dog. And here is what the entire argument looks like all together in one paragraph. Notice that it is color-coded, orange, pink, and white. When you write your weekly argument writings, you will color code them as well. It's a great visual way to make sure that you have included all three parts. You have a claim that needs to be supported with evidence, you have evidence that has an in-text citation, and then you have an analysis that elaborates and explains the evidence. Here is an example of the kind of thing that I'm going to be looking for in your weekly research writings. So let's pretend that the topic is Squid Game. Many of you have probably seen Squid Game, which is a show on Netflix. Here's a claim about it. Squid Game is a network television game changer. Here's the evidence. The subtitled South Korean Squid Game series was Netflix's most watched series ever. For the first time in television's history, American audiences embraced subtitled content, proving that, quote, stories don't need to be told in English to be hits in English-speaking countries. Okay, notice there are two different kinds of evidence here. One is just a paraphrase. The first sentence here, that it was the most watched series ever, that's a paraphrase. It was not directly quoted from the article, but the second one is, quote, stories don't need to be told in English to be hits in English-speaking countries, end quote. That is a direct quote that showed up in the article. And here's the analysis. Squid Game's wild success in English-speaking countries will likely encourage Netflix and other platforms to bring more foreign language content to American audiences. The game of Squid has turned American television viewing behavior on its head, breaking language and subtitle barriers that until now relegated foreign language films to niche markets. Here it is all together. We have our claim, we have our evidence in light purple, and we have our analysis in orange. Notice that the analysis is generally longer than the evidence and the claim. Notice that the evidence has in-text citations, and also notice at the end of this entire article is the actual MLA citation for the article where this information came from. Okay, that was the pro. Netflix, Squid Game is a game changer. Now it's time for writing the other side of the issue, the rebuttal. Here's the counterclaim. While it is true that Squid Game became popular, Netflix should be cautious about changing the game and including more foreign content because subtitles often obscure meaning and author intent. Because of translation difficulties, American viewers and Korean viewers did not watch the same show. So this is kind of the counterclaim. Sometimes you need more than one sentence in your claim in order to get your point across. Here's the evidence for that. New York comedian Youngmi Mayer published a viral TikTok video detailing some of the translation errors between the original Korean dialogue and the English translations. In one scene, Netflix translators captioned the dialogue as, "I'm not a genius, but I still got it worked out." And that was a quote, according to Mayer, this line would be better translated as, quote, "I am very smart, I just never got a chance to study." So that's the evidence. We have a claim, we have our evidence, and now here's the analysis, which is a lot longer than the claim or the evidence. Getting it worked out and never getting a chance to study do not mean the same thing. The character who has never had a chance to study is one who wanted to study and improve, while the character who is getting things worked out is flying by the seat of his pants. Just in this one line's example, it's clear that Korean viewers and American viewers did not view the same show. Because American audiences who view subtitled content will miss important underlying meanings, Netflix and other platforms should improve translation for subtitles and captions before they change the game and produce more foreign content. So notice in this analysis how I linked back to that claim which had said that Squid Game was going to be a game changer. I kind of referred back to that in this analysis. Here it is all together. with our counterclaim, that they need to be cautious about changing the game and including more foreign content, and then the evidence, and then the analysis. Okay? Now, you guys are going to work in groups. I have compiled research for you from the internet on AI and whether or not it is dangerous. So I'm going to give you these double entry journals already filled out, and your job is to work in groups to write one argument that AI is dangerous, and because, and then you give your claim, evidence, and analysis, and then a second argument that AI is not dangerous or that AI provides benefits. Okay, so work in groups to complete, and then we are going to look at them up on the screen and make sure that they have all the parts that they need.